To my left, the only distinguished member of this current panel, the head coach of the Muhlenberg Mules, Mr. Mike Donnelly. Always a good guy. Welcome back, Michael.
Thanks, Keith. Good to be here.
It's good to see you again. I mean, I used to cover
right.
cover you years ago, and you got things rolling out there,
Absolutely.
and you're still doing
Sunday
great
morning
work.
radio shows. Right?
That's right.
Just come in on Saturday mornings before our games.
Yeah,
just do some
what a warm-up with me and Punk and Miller. What a way to warm up for a big game day Saturday. But tell me about your Mules. You're playing good football.
Yeah, right now the kids are playing really, really well, and that would be the characteristic of this team. You know, each and every football team, as you know, throughout the years is different. And right now, our kids are playing hard, and they're playing aggressive, and I tell them week after week that they're playing fast. And with the exception of the F&M game last week, where we didn't think we did those things, we've been pretty consistent with a fairly young team.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always ask you, over the years, you've had local flavor. I don't know if you have too many local kids on your team this year.
Well, we have a couple of guys that are doing a pretty good job, namely Mark Begelli from Peaburg, who's one of our main guys up front offensively, is just doing a fantastic job. But, we have to pick and choose. Not every kid that fits our academic criteria,
it's tough.
Wants to stay local, but we talk to all of them, and we try like crazy to recruit them. And so we've got a couple of guys. Chris Litzenberger, who's dad coaches on our staff, is doing all of our snapping, and his role expands every week. So, the kids we have are doing a pretty good job for us.
Mike, you always, and I remember one of the first years I started covering you, I think you lost like a Josh Carter and a couple of those guys, and my question was, how do you replace those guys on this level and everything? And you've seemed to have been able to do that over the years. How much is, the getting out and finding these kids, the recruiting side of it, how much does that really kind of excite you, and going out and finding these kids and bringing them in?
Well, I've been in it for a long time, Jeff, and if you don't get excited about recruiting, you really can't be in the college game. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge, and I enjoy meeting new people all the time, and I enjoy changing the hat. It's a football hat during the month of August, September, October, November. And then you turn it a little bit, and now you're a representative of Muhlenberg College, and you go out and you recruit kids. And, that's always the best part about, your program, and getting to control that a little bit with the kids you bring in. It is fun to see how they develop. A short story was Josh Carter was an intern for us after he graduated, and he came into my office one day, and he had just watched his high school tape. And he said to me, "Coach, what the heck did you see in me?" And I said, "Well, we saw what we, developmentally, you could be a pretty good player." And he was a young coach, and he didn't know what you were really looking for as you looked at tape. But, you're looking for that spark, and sometimes it's easy to see, sometimes it's a little bit harder. But we have been fortunate, and we've had some great players over the years. I'm not really sure you can find too many Josh Carters along the way, though.
But you've always been, the running backs have gone through there, and, even a couple of the quarterbacks have gone through. A couple of times I look at the talent you're losing, and I'm amazed at this level that there's somebody ready to step in who's just as, maybe not quite that level, but I think you followed up with DeLuca. I forget the rotation.
John DeLuca.
DeLuca with
Terrence.
With Terrence, and before DeLuca it was
Matty Bernardo.
Bernardo. So you had those three tailbacks right in succession. That you don't think of. There's really not a drop off.
Well, there's a message there, and, the message when you recruit has to be something. And, everybody knows that I'm a defensive coach, so that message was that we would play great defense. And on the other side of the ball, we wanted to establish an offense that was centered around our quarterback throwing the football and our running back running the football. And Jason Brader, from right here in town, was the first guy that took a chance way back in the day and responded with, 2,600 yards rushing in 2 years. And that helped put us on the map with recruits. So if you're a running back and you don't want to look at Muhlenberg College, most people would think that would be foolish. If you're a quarterback and you want to throw the football, we're a place to go because we've averaged over 30 throws a game for the last 14 years. And that's something good. So, once Jason got it rolling with the running back situation, and Mike McCabe came out of nowhere. Actually, it was George Fosdick in my first year. George, was the leading thrower in our conference on a 1-9 football team. We did have to throw it a lot, but he was very productive in his 1 year as a starter. And then Mike McCabe came in and basically rewrote our record book as a thrower. And now it became easier to talk to high school quarterbacks and high school tailbacks and tell them what we tried to do. And Terrence Dandridge is just a continuation of what we think is a tradition that we've worked really, really hard to establish.
How many years are you at Muhlenberg right now?
14.
14. And I don't think you ever thought you'd be there for 14 years.
That's not quite true. I know that there's only 239 or 240 Division III head jobs in America, and there's 300 million people living here. So I know how hard it is to get a head job, and I'm very fortunate to have one. And I'm happy that Muhlenberg's kept me around for this long.
Well, but the thing about it is you've been mentioned, you know, because you did come, you had Lafayette, right. Lafayette, Columbia, I believe. Sure. Mm-hmm. You've been at some, so people thought, well, he's going to move back up to the I still call it 1AA. I know it's FCS now. So 1AA level. But you have clearly found yourself a home and a niche at Muhlenberg.
Right, and I think coaches, parents ask me this all the time. Coaches, would entertain opportunities, and I think that's the nature of the beast. But you also have to have a realistic outlook, and jobs are hard to find, and not a lot of people are looking at the Division III guys to move up and be the head coach at Notre Dame. I tell parents that ask me that question, well, Coach, how long are you going to be at Muhlenberg? And I say, well, if Notre Dame calls and offers me several $1 million a year, I'm probably going to consider it. But you really can't operate that way. You have to do the best job you can where you're at, and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And of course, my friend, before I covered you, I covered Scott Dapp over at Moravian, and he's still there, and I'm happy to see that maybe you're not, but I'm happy to see that he's having some success this year.
Oh yeah, I think that's great, and we knew going in that he runs a quality program. He does a great job coaching and recruiting, and we're just ecstatic that we get a chance to finish against them every year.
Mm-hmm. That rivalry's 2 games, 2 weeks away, and I know you don't like to look at it, but since they've been in the conference now for a few years, has that kind of created a new spark, kind of taken it to a different level than
in my opinion? For me it has, for our team it has, and for Muhlenberg College it has. It's absolutely, there's no question. When I first got in the league, it was two teams that used to play against each other in the league, and now it was two really good rival teams from different conferences. We were done playing in our conference, and I believe they were too, right?
Yeah.
So, it was like a postseason game. But when they added, I really got shivers the day that I was told that they were, and I just thought that was just a great development for the Valley, for them, and for us. And, it's just a great rivalry, from start to finish over a lot of years, and hopefully it'll continue to be just like that.
Well, you still got one more game before the Greyhounds. Who is that opponent this coming week?
Well, we play Ursinus this Saturday.
Good team.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things I want to say before we move away from Moravian, and I know we're not looking ahead, but I would hope that they're in the Muhlenberg week or 2 weeks. So we need to start talking about that game, get people to, when I first came to the Valley way back in '83, we used to get a lot more press, a lot more coverage for that game because it was a week before Lehigh Lafayette. So you saw it, and I was an assistant at Lafayette. And over the last several years, it seems to me, and I don't know if I'm speaking for Scotty, but it seems that it's ticked down a little bit on the coverage, and I'd like to see that come back a little bit. So we can talk about that, but our focus right now is against Ursinus, a team that we're tied with for first place. We get a chance to win on Saturday. That puts us in a unique situation. We'll be in first place by ourselves. So as I told our kids after our F&M loss, and this is the truth, is that if we win the last 3 games, nothing that anybody can do can take away the championship from you. And so, our goal is to play against Dickinson. We did okay there, and now we've got to play maybe the game of our lives this Saturday, and then come back and maybe even be better than that the next week.
Does your league still get an automatic spot into the playoffs?
Yeah,
that's exciting to get the playoff opportunities.
Yeah, it's exciting to be in position to be considered at this stage of the game. But there's a ton of football to be played still in our conference. Some people are looking at it and saying, okay, if Donnelly loses over at, and if Donnelly loses the next week, then it happens this. But there's a ton of that going on.
Are we looking at a 5-way tie somewhere?
It's probably at least a 6-way tie. Who knows?
Let you get going, but. Tell me what's the #1 thing about Muhlenberg that you love, and when you go out on that recruiting trail, which I know you're going to be out there very shortly again, talk about what you try to sell when you talk about Muhlenberg College.
Well, thanks for asking. I think that the #1 thing that I try to sell, Keith, is that this is a school that really values excellence in both areas, and will give you the opportunity to be an excellent student. And 5 years ago, that wasn't a big deal when the economy was smooth and everybody was getting jobs right out of college. But the opportunity to come out of a great college and be competitive for a job when you get out still exists at Muhlenberg College. and to play football at a very high level. You know, there's commitment for both at our place. And so if we find the right kid, whether he's a local guy or whether he's from a little bit further away, those are the kids that we can honestly say, look in the eye and tell them those things and feel good about it and know we're going to be competitive.
Well, you are an asset. As long as you are at Muhlenberg, I tell you what, it's a better place, and I hope that kids will take a look, Lehigh Valley and beyond.
Thanks.
Keep looking at West Allentown and that great school and that great program you got going out there, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's
That's
good
Mike
to see
Donnelly.
you.